You're listening to Everyday Ham, casual conversations for the everyday amateur radio enthusiast.
Okay, everyone, welcome to episode 15 of the Everyday Ham. If you can believe it, we are here with another episode. So we got a lot of topics to discuss with you. But before we begin, we want to remind you that you can follow all our podcasts at everydayham.com, as well as our YouTube channel, Everyday Ham as well. And all our links to the Discords, our social medias are also available on the website. So please go out there, follow. If you like what you're hearing, also leaving a comment or a rating helps us a lot and helps us get some new viewers. So with that, let's get into our main show topics. Our first segment is going around the shack to see what's been new since our last recording. So why don't we start with you, Jim? What's been up?
Well, good evening to both Rory and yourself. Nice to see your faces tonight. I know, James, you have a big trip coming up here, so I'm glad we were able to sneak in our regular monthly episode before you jet set your way to Germany one more time.
Back to Germany, yep.
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, I'm happy to be back. We have had very strange weather here in Michigan. I suppose it's still winter as far as all that goes, so a nice little break on Friday afternoon where we went down and had a little social hour with a couple of folks from the South Lyon Area Amateur Radio Club, as we always speak to, our Two Beer Social. It's a monthly event, and if you're in a club and you're looking for something fun to do that will kind of remove you from the sort of super technical atmosphere and just find a nice place to meet club members, socialize a little bit about radio topics, maybe projects you're working on, but maybe not so heavy on the technical side. Two Beer Social is not a bad thing to add to your club's meeting agenda, and we do it once every month on the last Friday of the month, and it's been really well received. So there's your fast tip, I guess, from N8JRD, the event coordinator of the South Lyon Club. If you're trying to build up some club velocity, it might not be a bad thing to try out. And you don't have to go to a bar, but we often find ourselves at one of the numerous microbreweries around the Metro Detroit area, and of course, Michigan, long known for all of its very good craft beer. But good evening to each of you, and glad to see you tonight. The Shack here has had a few new developments, as it always does between episodes, constantly buying, selling, trading, or otherwise wheeling and dealing here in the N8JRD Shack. We did go to the Livonia swap, and so I acquired myself a Bird 43 watt meter at the swap for a absolute song, $110 for that little watt meter, in beautiful condition. BNC connectors on both sides, untouched paint. I mean, this thing looks like it's never been used. I'm sure it has been, but it's a really nice Bird 43. If you're not familiar with the Bird 43, it's basically like a bog standard watt meter that most folks end up getting in one capacity or other, and they're often traded at swaps. So really, really good place to find one. But
and I can vouch, it is in pristine condition.
It's in excellent shape.
Jim wouldn't even hand it to me to look at when we were at the swap.
I don't know about
because
that.
He was worried that I may drop it. And don't pretend right now. You were a little worried. You were a little worried.
I don't know about that. It is in very nice shape. I was really thrilled to find it. It had two slugs in it. One of them, of course, was the 2560 slug. That was a standard 100-watt slug for basically a lot of 10-meter CB space up through 60, where you could maybe use it on the higher band. But realistically, 6 meter is going to top out there. Not a slug that I was going to use. I don't do a lot of CB, and it's a really popular slug to resell for CB guys. So that went immediately to the eBay to offset the cost of the meter so that I could find a couple more amateur focus slugs. And so that's been my most recent acquisition journey, is collecting all the slugs to plug into my brand new Bird watt meter. But I think I've got a good collection going. If you're not familiar, these slugs end up being the place where you lose all your money on the deal. So the HF slugs, big ones for 2,500 watt power, $250 a piece. Your 100 watt slugs are closer to about $125, and then anything in between there for higher power. So the HF slugs are super desirable. If you ever see one of those for a good price at one of the swaps, stick it in your pocket, take it back, and throw it on QRZ. You might make a couple bucks.
Pay first, stick it in your pocket. Then
don't steal it from the gentleman.
I didn't know those were that expensive.
Yeah,
I really had no idea.
Yeah, and honestly, it's one of those things where it's kind of a supply and demand, right? The VHF, the UHF slugs, they're very affordable. They're pretty reasonably priced, even for the higher power ones for the most part. But man, those HF slugs, everybody's looking for the 2 to 30 megahertz one. So, like I say, if you find one worth picking up, but I'm excited to have it. The reason I'm excited to have it, it will allow us to do some more basically testing for you guys in videos that we're continuing to create here on the Everyday Ham YouTube. So I think it'll be a good tool to have in the shack alongside of my, of course, Rig Expert 650 Zoom, my Nano VNA, and some of my other testing equipment. It just fleshes it out. It allows me to tell you more about what we're actually learning on the radios that we are playing with here in the shack. So that's one thing. The other thing is, 2 new handhelds have entered the shack between last time and this time. If you're watching on YouTube, you're seeing me hold up a Radtel handheld, RT910B, and then a Quansheng, I think that's how you say it. It is a UVK1 8. And it's just a UVK1. The 8 only matters if you care about the cool metal faceplate on it. But both interesting handhelds. I had done some reading on both of them. They're both UV handhelds, so 2 meter, 70 centimeter handhelds. The nice thing about these is they are fully unlocked, so they pretty much will transmit wherever you'd like. Be respectful of the bands and your license, of course. That's my little star here. But was happy to find out that both of those handhelds will transmit half a watt on 220, which is kind of a neat little extra feature. Now, need to do some spurious emissions testing before we can say go out and buy them for 220, but they are kind of neat. So I don't know. It's always a day here in the shack at NA8GRD space, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys are up to. So we'll send it over to Rory, who I know has been doing a little more CW than last month.
Little more CW. I didn't find a cool bird meter at the Livonia swap. I did find an Astron power supply, which that's nice. In the shack and powering all the things, which it is powering the DX10, which is indeed powering some CW. So we're fresh off of the North Carolina and South Carolina QSO party this past weekend. And anyone who's been around for any period of time knows that I'm making some attempt to work every QSO party between now and the end of the year. So nice. Far we've made it into all of them. So that's good, with at least two contacts in each. British Columbia, I only had 2. But that counts. So that's good. North Carolina, South Carolina was on Saturday. I didn't have a whole lot of time. I think I might have gotten 18 or 20 contacts. North Carolina was on Sunday. I had time to sit here on and off throughout the day. 52 contacts, about half phone, half CW. So the CW skills are improving. I can see where spending time with it, you start hearing more things, but I am still a slow copy. It's still 2 and 3 times before I'm sure I have the call sign and designator right. I'll sit and listen to them have exchanges with other folks and get it written down before I even try them. But once I try them, it's one and done. I enjoy it. I enjoy the speed. I enjoy getting the QSO in the log and moving on without a whole lot of fluff. So, and I'm still, every day when I come home from work, I usually spin the dial and look for at least one or two POTA stations to hunt on CW. And that's helping keep it sharp every day. Just takes a little bit of time when I get home. Still need to spend some time with some of the courses, Long Island CW, a little more time with them, because I'm still not hearing it confidently enough. I'm not at the point where I could sit on a frequency and call CQ yet. Not at all. But I could see where that's coming. The improvement is there. Around town here, we have another video that I think already dropped. I know already dropped. We've been battling some demons with our local repeater. We had some routine maintenance, and we did drop a video on Jim and I and our friend Lewis, N8LEK, going out there and giving us a hand out at the water tower in town here. And we took care of the maintenance, but either it's just coincidental or we've managed to scare up some demons. I don't know. I don't know what it is. You angered the
repeater gods.
Yeah, we've got an echo in there that comes up, and it's an intermittent problem we've had over the last couple of years, but it seems to be more pronounced. So I don't know if we jostled something in that old girl or what the problem is, but we're trying to keep our eye on it. But as a result of that video, I know we had at least one listener call into our Sunday night net of the South Lion,
which was cool.
South Lion repeater, which our local South Lion repeater is on All-Star 454050. And Mike N2NKP from New York joined us on our Sunday night net. That was super cool. Gave us a shout out to the podcast from afar there. So that was pretty cool. So it's a little bit of CW. We're getting to the point. It's going to be time for some spring projects. I'm closing in on a camper purchase here pretty quick.
Very exciting.
And we're gonna be ready to go. If you're watching on YouTube, that's one thing I hope to encourage. What's our subscriber count at this point? All right, 15. You guys both look at it consistently. I don't.
1591.
There we go.
That's a good
91
number.
now. All right.
So if you're watching this and you're not actually subscribed, take a minute to press that subscribe button and help us build that number up. It encourages us. It encourages the two Jims over there to keep reading the number aloud to me on an hourly basis of how many subscribers we have. But
Metrics driven.
Everyone's driven by different things. So I that's okay. But yeah, hit the subscribe button, help that number go up, and encourage us to keep doing more cool things. We have quite a bit planned for the year ahead, actually. James, what's in your shack?
So I think we talked about it before. I'm going to be traveling back to Germany for some work trips. So those that don't know, I work for a company, an automotive supplier company, an electronics and ADAS technology group. We are being sold to another German-owned supplier. So we're in the process of working through those many issues, but very exciting. And I think it's a really positive thing overall. However, more trips to Germany. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to be taking your mag loop that Jim let me borrow. So I will be trying to have a more efficient setup than stringing a wire outside of a hotel window.
On a salt shaker.
On a salt shaker, yeah, as a counterweight there. So look for me if you're in the area. But one exciting news, I took the moment. So this trip is actually going near the Munich area.
Okay.
And I was looking at the office we're going to be in, and there happens to be a POTA park in Germany.
Nice.
Walkable distance, or at least a close distance. So I don't know if I'll have time this trip to sneak out. However, that is very optimistic for a future trip. So if you're in the Munich area, stab in the dark here, feel free to reach out to me, because one day I will activate that park. Other than that, I've been kind of busy. I've been playing. I did download the FT2, the Decodium, just to try to give it a shot.
Okay.
I realize there's a little bit of controversy right now around FT2 on if you should use it or not, because what I know is it's using the WSJTX standard, but some people are questioning if Decodium properly published the source code or not to meet those requirements for WSJTX. However, first impressions, it's an interesting mode. It's definitely a lot faster. So I think the average time I was completing a QSO was about 7 to 10 seconds or so. You're definitely not getting the range, let's say the weak signal propagation. It definitely takes away from that from traditional FT8. From what I was looking at, if FT8 decodes, down to about negative 20 dB, I think FT2 was published around negative 12 dB. So it's definitely a little bit more regional, or you need a little bit stronger signal to be able to decode it. But it is fast. I mean, I could see that for contesting or DXpeditions or something being a very useful tool in the future. So I'm really interested to see how that maybe gets baked and more evolved in the future here. It still needs a little time in the oven, obviously, and I think there's even a competing standard right now between the two formats of FT2 that exist.
Just what we need, fragmentation in technology. No,
yes, exactly, because that doesn't exist enough for us.
Right.
But it's good. So if you want to experiment with something that's a little bit different and a little bit patience, go out there, search the webs, you'll find the download link and the instructions to get it up and running.
I want to say out loud, WSJT improved, so WSJTX improved version 3.10 does have FT2 in it, actually, now. So you do not need Decodium if you want to stick on the brand new improved bandwagon. I just downloaded it on my MacBook, my MacBook there. And FT2 is it's present in the most recent release, which is downloadable off GitHub.
So fitting that I went the hard road when I could have just waited a week and got the easy road. But still, it's worth checking out. It's a fun little new mode just to experiment.
And you said out loud, right, that FT2, and we won't spend a ton of time, but FT2 is far less resilient weak signal than FT8, for example, and even less than FT4.
You feel the difference.
Yeah,
you feel the difference. Yeah.
So when we talk about DXpeditions using FT2, I question whether or not that's ever going to be realistic when we think about how far those DXpeditions often have to reach.
Well, so few even use FT4, and
yep.
FT8 gives you the time you need to make the deal, to seal the deal and get the contact in those, the more difficult situations. And I know James mentioned when he was testing FT2 that the time sync had to be pretty much on the nose for it to work.
Yeah.
Good
point. It had a NTP time sync server option directly into the WSJTX that I was working with, and my Windows, I can't remember what tool I'm using on my JT time sync or JT something time sync. It was usually synced well enough for FT4, FT8, but I didn't realize why I wasn't decoding. And it was like the first time I was using FT8, I didn't have a time sync tool and nothing would decode. Yeah. So I'm like, all right. So I looked, and sure enough, as soon as I put in the new correct NTP server into that, I was decoding. But
you have to imagine, right?
It is sensitive.
The transmit-receive cycle on FT2 is 3.75 seconds. Transmit, 3.75 seconds receive. If you're off by a second, you've lost better than a quarter of the actual TR cycle
for sure.
For either side of that. So when I look at FT8, and I've started up my computer, not looked at the time offset, and I've transmitted for many cycles with a 1.5 plus minus offset by accident, and still been able to decode just fine, right?
It'll work. Yeah,
right. But when you talk about FT2, you're cutting so far into that you're going to have to be far, far closer, and that's going to be more important. So really interesting mode there.
I mean, if you think about it, 7 to 11 seconds, right? Total completion. You're looking at about 240 QSOs per hour, roughly. I mean, that's insane. Could you imagine going to sit at a POTA park and just running FT2? And I mean, you're gonna be racking up kilos.
But you're gonna run out of people too. I mean, if you think about even on FT8, when you look at your average screen, unless the band's hopping and it's a weekend where everyone's got time to watch paint dry running FT8, there might be 20
Listen
people.
Listen to the CW operator over here. Ooh.
Take it as you will.
Digital's old now.
And I do run FT8, but it's not the most exciting thing. I mean, you run out of people on FT8 to work. So, I mean, on FT2, unless really everyone adopts it, which I don't imagine they will.
No, FT4 has been around for ages at this point, and I flip over to FT4 occasionally just to try to catch a few people, and it's 3 or 4 guys transmitting off the FT4 side of either band, so I'll be really curious if it picks up.
Now, I will say for FT4, if you catch the right time of day with the gray line, you can get some really interesting DX stations out there.
I think I actually do have Japan on FT4.
Over. Yeah, it's worth flipping over if you're ever just got a little extra time to spend. So
I started doing it on WSJTX just recently. I started saying, I'll check FT4 just to see if anybody's over there. And there's always somebody there, but it's not nearly as many, of course, as FT8.
No. You work that QSO line, and then you're on to back to FT8 probably.
If we can further digress here on the idea of DXing with these faster modes, right? There is a little bit of an advantage here, right? When propagation is up and down, having a faster end-to-end transmission and, a QSO actually has a huge advantage, right? If the propagation is up and down and we can get that done in half the time, I may have a better chance of closing that longer DX, even if the signal's weak. So I'll be curious. Maybe there are advantages there with FT2 in very specific conditions.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the signal is up in the period that you're receiving and the period they're receiving you. I mean, that's the thing with FT8. Sometimes it takes that whole period to be able to decode the signal because it is weak. So who knows? We'll see. I guess I'm going to have to put another update on my brand new MacBook here and try some FT2. I still run very old WSJTX because why doesn't it?
Not improved.
No, I don't improve anything. I don't optimize anything.
Drops.
I'm kidding.
I've been on Apple since 2004, so there's no change in my mind now.
Go ahead, James. What did you have?
No, I was going to say the one thing you're going to hear a lot for our American friends at ARRL Field Day this summer is 2 seconds. So this is going to be definitely something that a lot of people, I'm sure, at Field Day are going to be experimenting with.
Well, why have the volume? That's a peeve of mine. Why have the volume up? I don't understand that.
I'm that masochist. I listen to it. I
Why?
have it low, but I listen to it because
what does it
I
do
can
for
tell.
you?
Well, because you can tell when the band is screwed up or somebody's doing something stupid on there, and you can move along. We're going to talk Bouvet Island, by the way. And speaking of some lids, there's already some of that happening. Not saying that the whole thing's a mess, but some of it is already. I tried to get some FT8 yesterday night, and there was absolute craziness happening on the Bouvet bands where on 40 meter yesterday evening. So having the volume turned up allowed me to know that fat chance that I was getting in there on that first night, right? Yeah, aboard. I listened. I had no luck.
We'll talk Bouvet. I'll let everyone know my plan for working Bouvet.
Okay.
Well,
James,
I think we're there now. To be honest with you, what's your plan for Bouvet?
Let's talk.
I'm not even going to bother.
Ooh, all right.
So here's the deal. I have such a shitty antenna. I have an attic antenna. I don't get out. Bouvet is essentially southeast of here. I don't get out to the south. I struggle with South America with this antenna. I just do not get out to the south. So I'm not going to win the pile up. It's not worth the frustration. I'm glad for people who have and will, and I'm sure we'll hear all about the people, but I don't plan to work them. If the band opens and I happen to hear them and the magic happens, I'm going to try, but I'm not going to sit there and bang my head against the wall trying to work them, which is unfortunate, but it's just the nature of my limited station, and I don't have any problem with that. It's the same reason, I'm, ham for 20 some years and don't have DXCC, whereas, we have folks who have been licensed in the last 6 months and have it across several bands. It's just a function of your station, and I'm not able to have anything more than I have at the moment. So I look forward to hearing the stories. I mean, we were fortunate at our local club to have Dennis KT8X come in and give us a talk on what they're doing beforehand, and I think we might hear from him afterwards as well. I think that might be in the works to have him visit us again after the DXpedition is over, and I'm really looking forward to hearing about it. I'm glad the internet is a way now that we're already seeing videos and getting real-time updates out of Bouvet. I'm loving
it's
seeing
exciting.
it. It's very exciting. So, I mean, don't take my curmudgeon on whether or not I'm going to work them as me being against them at all. I'm loving seeing the videos. I'm loving seeing the updates. I'm enjoying hearing other people that have been able to work them. But why get myself more frustrated than I already am with things by trying to get a signal out that's just not going to make it there?
And then maybe ruining it for others that have a chance to work them.
I could be spamming the FT8 and being a lid. So there you go. I'll turn it off.
And then before we turn over to you, Jim, for those that don't know what we're talking about, is the Bouvet Island 2026 DXpedition 3YOK. So they're out there now, February of this year, 2026. But Jim, let's talk about what you saw from the spamming of the band.
Oh, this is a really exciting DXpedition, no doubt. If you haven't been following the news, which would be shocking because you're listening to us here on YouTube, and we're definitely much lower on the news cycle than Bouvet Island has been on all of the ham radio DX sites. Bouvet Island is the most expensive DXpedition ever to launch. We're well over $1.7 million of resources involved in this particular expedition to send a very small number of folks to a uninhabitable island in the middle of nowhere.
What a crazy world
to run their radios, and honestly, they're adventurers, right? I can respect the fact that these folks have the desire, the drive, and the monetary capability to go on an adventure like that. It won't be me. It won't ever be me, and that's okay. But it is a really cool thing. Like Rory said, I think this is really kind of one of the first major DXpeditions that we've seen. And if I'm missing one, just go ahead and put it down in the comments and tell me I'm an idiot because I'm brand new. Remember,
in my more active ham radio life, this is one of the bigger deals. Absolutely, yeah.
Yep. So this is one of the more huge, I think, news-making expeditions, but also because it's more connected than any DXpedition has ever been. We have Starlink that gives high-speed internet in places we never thought that was going to be a possibility, right? We don't have to put it on a thumb drive, put it in our pocket, and bring it back 6 months later and get it on the internet. We're getting videos from what's his face? I believe it's Chun, Satofishi on YouTube. Of the 3YOK. He's posting videos on YouTube of this thing. Right, we're seeing high resolution pictures of the camp being set up. And if you're not watching that part of it is really interesting to me. The radio's of course cool, but just the idea that these guys are out there in the middle of nowhere doing something neat with technology is pretty awesome. So
the logistics behind it all is fascinating. And Jim mentioned the $1.7 million in rising all the time, I'm sure, to complete this. But take all the radio out of it. I'm a logistics nerd at heart, and I worked many years in that field and somehow ended up stopping working in it. But that's a story for a boring night on 2 meters. But
the All-Star node number. If you want to talk to Rory, just plug it in.
I don't even have the radio on tonight. But anyway, just all the work of getting all the things, testing all the things, double checking all the things, having redundant backups. It's all these things. They have to be completely self-sufficient, haul everything in and haul everything out when they're done. 100% responsible for their own medical support while they're there. There's no help if someone has a problem. I believe there is one actual doctor on the trip, so they have that. But there's situations that could be not enough to take care of something bad. But the logistics behind it, the planning behind it, years of planning. It's fascinating to look at it, and I hope they have an excellent time. I came off kind of harsh at the beginning by saying I'm not going to work them, but that like I said, that's a personal thing because of my station. It's just not worth the frustration. But if I could go over to Jim's house and turn up the amp and give him a shout, I might.
I'm gonna give him a shot, but yesterday evening was definitely a monitoring experience just to kind of get a feel for what was going on. I have never seen 3K hertz of band space so burning hot with RF than I did yesterday night. The band scope was literally plus 40 dB across the entire swath of that FT8 segment, which is offset by the standard FT8 segment.
I was seeing it even with my limited antenna setup here. I was seeing that, and it's just fascinating to see. But you have to go on Clublog or in various other places, DX Cluster, to look for the spots. They're out there. They're running, I think, mostly Fox and Hound on FT8, and they're probably going to be running split when they're running voice on HF.
They are.
But
probably up 10 or more, given how many people are calling, is what we're hearing.
Yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, it'll be interesting to try. Certainly give it a shot. It's a QSO you won't forget if you do get it.
And one of our club members got that, actually, the last time we were there, a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
K8UT, actually, right before he passed away. He got that.
Wow.
So kind of a cool...
And I was going to say, the plan is, I think they're there for, if I look at the website, 3 weeks. So obviously, weather and other conditions permitting, but patience.
Yeah, and this is really, us talking about it tonight. Yeah, go try to chase it, but be respectful of other operators. Try to find a spot where it's maybe less busy when you throw your call out there. If you know that there's not a chance, like Rory said, maybe take a break from just throwing RF into the ether so that there's space for other folks to use it. And then look for your opening, right? Just spamming those calls doesn't make sense. And it really is just making the band busy for no reason. So
yeah, I guess I do have one suggestion, and there won't be any spots down that way if you were to run FT8 because there's nothing there. But certainly maybe take a minute to run a little bit of FT8 and see where your spots. Look on GridTracker or one of the other spotting
PSK
networks.
Reporter,
PSK Reporter. Take a look. Make sure your signal's actually going that way before you give it a shot. Make sure you actually have a chance and you're not just clogging up an already busy frequency. That's, like I said, there's not anything going to spot you down there to let you know you're being heard. But it's certainly, if you realize you're only, you're not crossing any oceans and you're barely making it to Florida, well, you're not making it to Bouvet.
That's right. That's a great way to look at it. Use the information at your fingertips, and there's a ton of it online with all the different tools that we have. We're going to talk about HamClocks in a minute, so this is a nice little segue.
Oh, that's another tool.
So yeah, we're going to talk HamClocks in a minute, but that's a great way to check and make sure that you're getting there before you set it on repeat on FT8 and let it just cycle for an hour with no chance to get it. All right, guys. that's Bouvet. I think it's going to be a really interesting one to keep our eye on. I hope that everybody does stay healthy out there, that they are successful in what they're trying to do, and that we get great reports back from all the folks that really do want to get this one in their DXCC log. It's going to be a really great opportunity, and they're going to Peter Island after this if everything goes to plan. All of that stuff's being packed back on the ship. It's going to get rechecked and re-readied, and it's going to head out to Peter Island, which is another big expedition. Again, lots of cost involved there, so we'll see how quickly they can turn and burn on that. But I think this is really the start of something very interesting and very technically connected from a DXpedition standpoint. So, James, any last thoughts on Bouvet?
Nope. I just wish everyone the best and hope they stay safe.
Very good. Well, I guess that brings us to our next topic of expense. And boy, oh boy, is it expensive. Yep. There's your segue. So if you haven't been following the news, and we'll keep you in the know here on the Everyday Ham podcast, we always like to try to keep you up to date. Yaesu, price-wise, is headed upwards. And perhaps you've noticed that Yaesu's, especially top-end rigs, really have been competitive in the market pricing-wise for quite some time. Rory scored a DX10 for close to $1,000. It's a top receiver. It's a top transmitter. Going to be one of the best radios you can put money into right now if you want to have a great base station radio, or even one that could be a little bit portable. But all of that is about to change on March 1st here. Gigaparts made a post and conveyed the Yaesu pricing was headed upwards. And I, for one, gentleman, was shocked. They are big numbers we're seeing on these, and I wonder what you guys think. Did
they say the reasons why they are? I'm assuming tariffs and two questions actually. Is this the U.S. only? And two, what were the reasons?
So they are right now. We're speaking only from the U.S. perspective on this. So absolutely, tariffs are impacting it here. Obviously, if you're listening from outside the United States, thank God you don't have to deal with all the things that we are currently. It's a very tumultuous time here. But with all that being said, right, there are a ton of things that they've quoted, and one of them, of course, is manufacturing and material costs are up, right, across the board. And you know this, James. You're in this space. Rory knows this because you guys are building the buildings that these things are getting shipped from. Yeah. So we all know materials costs and manufacturing is up. Yaesu tried to sort of absorb some of this in expectation that perhaps some of the initial tariff pricing that was announced was going to be recalled for legal reasons. That didn't happen, unfortunately. And at this point, it looks like they're going to go ahead and make those changes. The other thing is, of course, logistics continue to be extremely volatile as far as shipping, receiving, and getting the parts from point A to point B.
Yes, I see that. So again, I work for a company that produces electronics and ADAS components. So we deal with a lot of smaller end electronics to complete our assembly and where we manufacture them. And the supply chain has been erratic, to say the best. We're also seeing other things like what's been coined Ramageddon, where the RAM modules prices have skyrocketed due to AI center and data center building. So for consumers, that pricing is, and you're like, well, our radios don't really have the expensive RAM in it or really a lot of RAM. However, that still impacts the general electronics market. Absolutely. And then you look at even a lot of those smaller electronic components, a lot of them are air-shipped, not freight shipped via boat containers, because they're so small that honestly the cost differential is really not there from the value of manufacturing speed.
There's a huge speed advantage, right? Yep.
Yeah. So then you look at things like, again, I'm hoping everyone's safe here, but the Iran crisis that we're currently in. Yep. And we're already seeing notifications from our suppliers that due to restricted airspace and having to route around areas and not being able to kind of fly through Europe directly and all the other things, that we're already being notified that we're anticipating a shortage here very shortly in the components that we're purchasing. Jeez. And this is only one recent, let's say incident or example. I guess it should be an example.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the electronics manufacturing community is still definitely in a crisis, and especially when you look at tariffs. And I guess the other part I'm curious of seeing if they mentioned was yen to dollar fluctuations. So a lot of people don't know, but the yen at one point a couple years ago compared to the dollar was fairly weak. And I know that the Japanese economy and the government has been trying to increase their I think they're basically reduced their inflation. So they're increasing their interest rates to drive the price of the yen up a little bit compared to the dollar. So I'm assuming that their margins that they would have been able to absorb at one point are maybe a little bit less, which is why they're also considering these larger increases now versus historically.
Yeah, thanks to the internet, right? What we can see there is 5 years ago, from 5 years ago, the yen is 30% stronger, essentially, right? You get basically 0.0063 United States dollars to one Japanese yen, where you were getting close to 0.1 back in 2021. So major fluctuations, and that's where a lot of our components are still coming from, whether we like that or not. That's where a lot of that high-tech manufacturing happens. So it is really interesting to see this. Gigaparts, if you were paying attention, I'll give you some numbers here. If you weren't tuned in, Gigaparts gave us a little sneak preview of what to expect, unfortunately or fortunately. The FTDX10, where it has been traditionally trending around $13.99 at today's market price. I think the MSRP was somewhere around $15.99, but we've been able to order it for $13.99 consistently. MSRP is moving up to $1,949, $1,949 for the DX10. That means that at sale pricing, I would expect to see that somewhere around $1,600 or $1,700. So we're speculating here, but we know that the MSRP is going up dramatically. Optima, which has been living around the $1,895 mark, we really haven't seen big discounts on Optima at all yet, probably for the lack of units shipped. I would love to know that number. But Optima jumped to, well, one can wonder. The Optima jumps up to $2,500 in the adjusted market. If it were not a great sign for Optima before, it certainly gets much more interesting at $2,500. I just can't even see it. And I say that tongue in cheek. If you like the Optima, I hope that it's working well for you. But boy, is that an expensive radio. We were talking even 5 or 6 years ago about $2,500 to $3,000 being a top of the line base station sitting on your desk, and the Optima is not a top of the line base station. I'm sorry. So that seeing that number is huge. And then 101 MP, which was tracking around $4,000 just a year and a half ago. $66.99 is the new MSRP, and I suspect we'll be holding around $61.99 on sale. What I can tell you is some of these prices do make alignment with some of the other manufacturers. So ICOM 7760. $69.99, so a very expensive radio, awesome 200-watt radio, comparable to 101 MP, of course, some differences in its characteristics, and then 7300 Mark II, which just launched. We know that price is a little higher at around $1,600, but DX10 is going to have some stiff competition by Mark II from ICOM with that price increase. So I really do wonder if this changes the landscape a little bit for it. I still love the DX10's receiver. I think it is top-notch, absolutely one of the best you can buy, but boy, 7300 Mark II makes a really good case when you start comparing pricing. Now, go ahead, James.
Well, I mean, that was going to be my question. And this is just an announcement from Yaesu at the moment, and I'm assuming partly they've blown through their inventory that was already in the country, so now they're having to import more, and the tariffs are having more of a general impact on the supply that they have. But has any other supplier, Kenwood, ICOM, have they at this moment announced any price increases?
Well, Kenwood would have to launch a radio before they could announce a price increase.
They'd have to show up at events, too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Kenwood. You really haven't launched anything. Anyway, but ICOM, I think, has been traditionally quicker to be adjusting those prices along the way. We've seen ICOM's radios hold pricing higher for longer, and it's no knock on ICOM. I just think that realistically, they were already where they needed to be price-wise, and Yaesu may have been trying to hold those prices artificially a bit lower to keep that competitive edge, and it's just not tenable in the changing market that we're seeing now.
So if you're ICOM, I mean, you try to plan ahead. Do they hold their prices where they're at now as long as they can to try to buy in that market share? Because you're right, the Mark II becomes a very attractive radio. Even Absolutely. The 705, which right now I looked it up on Gigaparts, is $13.99 US dollars.
Yep.
I mean, that's now very attractive in comparison.
And remember, 705
some of that.
705 has a 100-watt amp coming, if I understand correctly, right? If I hear that correctly. So I'm very curious on the whole change there. But it's definitely a very interesting time to be in the radio market. By the time this podcast drops, which will be this Thursday, March 5th, 2026, so we'll time and date this, stamp this conversation, you're going to probably have missed the boat on the lower Yaesu pricing. I hope it's still there. DX Engineering and Ham Radio Outlet are still holding the pricing where they are until they sell through their existing stock. So if you have a radio that you've been eyeballing and you have the funds available, now might be the time to buy, because what I'll give you is one last piece of thought on this whole topic. Hamvention pricing has traditionally been very aggressive. Mm-hmm. But if our starting prices have raised close to 40% in some cases, I would imagine Hamvention pricing is not going to bring us even close to where we're at even today. So if you're waiting for a radio for Hamvention this year, now might be the time to buy. It may not be worth waiting to Hamvention.
Go get that $891 that you need for POTA.
There we go.
That is a must-buy.
And the $891 raised to $900.
That is wild. That is
scheme.
You know what? When I was reading through something you had posted in the channel earlier today, and none of it really clicked until you gave the price of the $891, which of course my favorite radio.
100% great radio.
I'm like, that is a wild number, but I think
glad I have two.
I need a second one, because there is a somewhat of a plan to stick one in the car permanently, but
James has a retirement plan, and it's old Yaesu radios to be resold.
You know what's sad is a side topic really quick here, too, is James has been looking at that 705, and James might be thirsty for a 705.
There we go.
So I was actually looking online. This is really, by the way, a very sad comment, because I do think the 705 is a very nice radio. It's been 6 years now, roughly, in the market. I think it was released.
Well-established, bleeding-edge QRP radio, though, really.
100%. And the one thing that drives me nuts on it is, and again, 6 years old, so totally expected, micro USB. And I know there's a mod, and I know there's things you can do, and yada, yada, yada. I don't know why it drives me nuts, but I was really eyeballing that 705 because one of our club members put it for sale.
Yep.
And
that's a great price on it, by the way.
He has a great price.
I was looking on that Discord link sitting there, and I know the guy very well, and I know he takes good care of it, and well, James is going to pass.
You know that radio was completely babied.
I know. I was also shocked to see this is a man that
I bet he never
saw him had that 705.
I bet he never even shouted into the radio. I guarantee.
He just coddled it and put it in a warm blanket and tucked it in at night.
Big digital guy, big digital. KC8RC, by the way, if he's listening.
Shout out Ray. Garden City there. That's a good fellow, but certainly gentle on the equipment.
And that was going to maybe be my Hamvention purchase.
Oh,
the treat yourself purchase, but I don't know now.
So there's a lot going on, and again, I think Everyday Ham's here to bring you fun and exciting news, and boy, oh boy, I don't know if I'd call that fun, but it's certainly exciting, and we do encourage you to go make a bad purchasing decision.
Opposite of fun.
We do encourage you to go make a bad purchasing decision and get yourself a radio
I'll always encourage you to spend money. I'll sit here and piss and moan and tell you I'm not buying anything, but I'll tell everyone else, go buy it.
Yeah. If you tuned into episode 14, we're totally turning a corner here, but
the one titled "You Don't Need That Radio," yeah.
And now we have also. Now I will say the other side effect this will probably be, and this is my last comment on this, I promise, is you're probably going to see some of the China OEMs, their sales go up almost as a result. The Baofangs, the Xiaogus, those radios will become more desirable because they're going to be able to hold their price longer. And that is going to be one of the side effects of this.
And I think in the used market, people selling things on tables and the swaps, we're going to probably start to see even more unreasonable prices on things where people don't just don't budge. And
I know what I have.
Yeah, you've got nothing, and that's a shame because you're going home with all of it if you don't budge on the price.
Keep looking at the swaps and do try to find those things that you're looking for, better pricing, and hopefully you'll get the radios that you need. Have more fun with the stuff that you already have, though, perhaps in the interim. I don't think this is a forever adjustment. I do think that at some point things have to settle down, but right now is tumultuous around the world, so be careful, have fun, and use what you got, and make sure that you're making the most of that. All right.
I still say that 750 is $12.99. It's not going to be less than that. if it even happens.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. And we're talking about the Kenwood TM-D750A, by the way, which we have talked about at length, and we still haven't seen the final prototype. Hoping to see it there at Hamvention. All right, I'm going to give you the hard transition. Guys. Next on the list tonight. You ready?
Yep.
You ready?
Hit us.
HamClocks are, boy, oh boy. There have been waves since the unceremonious passing of Elwood last month. Unfortunate, and we again wish our best to Elwood and his family. But the HamClock community has gone absolutely nuts. It has sort of brought some builders out of the woodwork, some folks that were really motivated by the need to fill this niche, where we knew that there was going to be a discontinuation of HamClock in June 2026 if nobody did anything about it. And it has opened the floodgates. There are a whole bunch of new options that have accelerated in their development by just leaps and bounds. And I want to recognize one right out of the gate that'll let all of us who already invested in the original HamClock to continue using it, because that, for most people, is going to be the most realistic way forward, and that is HamClock.com. So the gentleman at HamClock.com has really put out an effort to maintain and recreate some of the missing parts of the back end. I won't pretend like I know all of the parts that he's building. There was a very big note that he posted, which was fact, not fable. It's since been pulled from the website, so if you missed that, it was a pretty scathing review of the HamClock landscape. But W4BAE, Bruce over there, is, I believe, in his best intention, trying to keep the HamClock running for longer term, and also prevent it from having another single point of failure in the future. And so what he has done is partnered with other hams to make sure that HamClock.com is a co-owned a venture, co-developed, and that more than one person understands it, so that, God forbid, something happens to somebody out there, that this continues to live on for the community. So if you are not monitoring the HamClock world, you do have an option. It's very simple to change what you are doing with your current HamClock by editing the hosts file. Host file essentially allows you to take a web address like the previous Clear Sky Institute and tell your hardware to go look for Clear Sky at a different place. And that's the dumbed down version. If you know how host file works, good for you. If you're a listener out there that doesn't know what a host file is, it's just a shortcut letting your HamClock know where else to look for the details that it's generally looking for.
Yeah, looking at the website, HamClock.com, it's actually really nice. It's a well-built website, but they have a section that says data feed status, where they're showing that these feeds they're live and they're open status, no dependency on Clear Sky Institute, which was part of HamClock, and the data sourced directly from NOAA, NASA, USNO, Open Media, etc. And they have a lot of them live. I mean, it's a long list, but solar and X-ray flux, sunspot numbers, KB index, band conditions. Basically, this list would include a lot of what you're looking for to keep your HamClock running. So, I mean, kudos. It looks really well done in some really fast time.
The intention, of course, of HamClock.com is to make it transparent to you, the user, after you make the host file edit. There are 3 different ways to employ this, and if you don't like host file editing, you can do some other things. All of the details are at HamClock.com, HamClock.com. So go over there and check it out if you're running one and you don't want it to shut down in June. However, we're not going to spend too much time on HamClock because I love what they're doing, and I hope that they continue to iterate. I will say one last thing on this one. I have it pointed at my HamClock, or I have my HamClock pointed at them, to be technically correct. And on the first day that I pointed it there, I did have some data dropouts. I did have some issues with PSK spots showing up. I showed very strange numbers. But I'll tell you what, in the last 3 or 4 days, it has gone from somewhat inconsistent to almost perfect. And that's really kudos to the developer team, or the developer. I don't know if it's just Bruce right now, that are rapidly iterating on the back end there. It shows that they have 6,512 clocks connected to the HamClock back end already, and I'm sure there's probably triple or more that could still be connected out there, and that's just a wild guess number wise.
I still need to convert mine over and do all the things, but I'll be doing that soon.
Awesome. Now, if you're not interested in maintaining that HamClock, there are still a couple of more options that have sprung up from the sort of proverbial ashes of the original HamClock. And this is where it starts to get sort of interesting, because there were some projects not on the fast track before the Elwood clock went down or was going to go down. And OpenHamClock.com is a very cool portable version that runs in your browser, can be fully customized with your call sign, your DX, your DX space, all of the different things that you're looking for, and it looks really nice. It is a modern HamClock interface that you can pull up in your browser anywhere, recall your profile, and you have a HamClock working without any hardware at all. And I think that's a really cool new way to do HamClock. Whether there were open HamClocks before, there may have been, but this is a very polished version. This is a very polished version. It has been developing rapidly. It looks awesome. I encourage you to go check it out if you're looking for an alternative to the OG HamClock.
And from looking at also Open HamClock's website, they have a classic theme that closely mirrors the original HamClock look and feel. So
yes, it does.
If you're familiar with that, and you mentioned it was web-based, so web browser. However, they do also have a self-hosted locally version as well. So you can pull down the GitHub repository, and it will actually work on Windows, Raspberry Pi, Linux, etc. So very nice. I'd say that's a great alternative. This is the one, too, I've seen a lot online. So if you follow the Ham Facebook feeds, you see a lot of open HamClock, especially once the original HamClock was announced that it would be decommissioning on June 2026, at least the data feed side.
I'm glad to see him getting some critical mass here. I think this is a really nice project. I think it's well developed. How much of the back end is being reused from Clear Sky, that is where I know there is some concern. So we'll hedge our bets here and hope that they've got everything in order and that they're doing the things that they need to do so that this thing can live on. I love that you can self-host it. It will be installable on your Innovato if that's what you had. A lot of us had those Innovato Quadra boxes, so you can install it there, and you'll have a way for that to move on if you want to go to a new HamClock option. Rory, go ahead.
I think the resiliency of the ham community, they're not going to let it fail. Making it so that more people can play with it and bring their ideas into it. We'll just keep seeing this grow and improve, and I think it'll be a sight to see. I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
What did they say? The necessity is the mother of invention. I feel
Absolutely.
Like that is what exactly happened with HamClock.
Yeah. Needed a couple people to get the ball rolling. I mean, there was pretty much a hard stop from Elwood, and it was debatable. I mean, he always said it was out there, whatever, but it was debatable whether he actually wanted it to continue, depending on what you read. But there were people out there who were not going to let it go by the wayside. And I'm glad their hard work is it's all coming together now.
Absolutely. So Open HamClock, another option for you, openhamclock.com. Go check it out if you're looking or in the market for a replacement HamClock. And I've got one more for you. And this one, sort of an underdog right now for me, but certainly mirroring a lot of what the original HamClock was doing. It's hamvision.net.
Hamvision.net. That's a new one, too.
And HamVision has a very, I would say, HamClock-esque interface. It almost resembles the classic interface that Open HamClock is doing. And this one is a little more involved to get set up. I have not set this up myself, but there is a demo running where you can see an example of what it can do. You can click all of the buttons. So HamVision by PD2TX, I believe, is the site there. Go check that one out. I really want to give a little exposure to all these different projects, and that's why I picked 3 tonight that we knew were kind of big. Go ahead, James. What did you have on this one?
I have one more that we did not mention.
Ooh, okay.
Not necessarily a HamClock, but HamClock-esque in terms of data. The Geochron is also still an available option for those out there
100%.
that just want to be able to purchase something and not run it and have to build their own Raspberry Pi or something of that nature. You're paying a little bit more, honestly, for the hardware. You're paying for a subscription for the ham radio bundle. However, it is good software. It's a good tool, and it's up and running, and you get the support that comes with it as well. So for those that would like that option, the Geochron is still a reliable choice for you. But I can't stress enough, though, I think especially when I was starting as a new ham and I was learning what the K-index was and the gray line and all the different things that came with kind of learning radio propagation, I built a HamClock. I had that running, and I kind of watched it and learned and looked things up on the internet to kind of see what I'm looking at and kind of do a little research. And again, it's a really good tool. So I'm glad that someone is continuing to develop alternatives or support the original HamClock, because these are the things we need in the community.
Yeah, I did a quick like, hey Gemini, what are the advantages of HamClock for a ham operator? Just tell me, like, summarize it for me. And I just asked Gemini out of curiosity because I was just really like, if I'm a brand new user, you say HamClock to me, I'm like, what the hell does a HamClock do, right? Like, HamClock doesn't describe to me what it does for me, and that's why I thought it was kind of interesting. So I'll tell you what it gave me in 4 points here. You tell me whether or not you think it's accurate.
All right.
Tells you which bands are alive, shows you predicted signal strength into a specific DX region.
It can.
Tells you the highest frequency that you can reach a target at.
The muff, yeah, got it.
You got it. And predicts the auroral scatter and opportunities for VHF operations. So again, solar weather, essentially. I thought that was a fair summary. Is that everything that a modern HamClock can do? Absolutely not. But I will tell you, I think HamClock absolutely does get you a sort of cursory look at some of the more advanced tools like the vocap maps, the muff, the PSK reports, all of those different things that you're going to dig into in a lot
POTA
more depth.
spots.
Yep, spots, all that stuff that later on you're going to dig into in more depth. So it's a really nice summary front end that gives you at-a-glance information. So that's HamClock. I think it's a neat spot. James, I'm glad you brought up Geochron. Geochron is an excellent piece of equipment. It's expensive. Absolutely.
Let me gaze at my Geochron over here in the corner. But no, it is expensive. Again, I built a HamClock. I still actually have my HamClock sitting over there. I look at it, and I had it upstairs in my office for a while as well. It's a great piece of hardware. I got talked into the Geochron, and I'm happy with it. Honestly, I really do love it. It's set it and forget it, and it just kind of works. But it's not.
And the amateur radio layer is really excellent. What is it? $69 for the year if you pay up ahead. I think is what it is.
Yeah.
It really, for the less than the cost of a taco at Taco Bell, you could have it every month, I suppose.
It's an expensive taco.
Well, if you get one of the value meals these days, I'm pretty sure they're better than $10.
Yeah.
I hope they give you 2 sour creams at that price.
Jeez.
Oh boy. All right. Last on the list, and we're getting really close on time here, so I think we're just gonna make a note of this as sort of maybe a win for the ARRL, and of course, we all know we're in sort of conflicted times as we enter this month. Even the exemption for amateurs on foreign adversary reporting requirements, and if you haven't looked at this yet, I do think this is a massive win for the ARRL and in lobbying the FCC to keep us off these lists.
It is.
As amateurs. This is not a place that I want to be involved at all. I don't want my name on these lists. I don't need places like China, Cuba, Iran, North Korea, Russian Federation, Venezuela, and others who are looking to have lists of folks that they might have a problem with to show my name. And now that I've said it on this podcast, I'm sure they do, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Could you imagine a world where every time you made a contact or a QSO with Cuba, that you basically had to fill out a form on the U.S. government's website to say that you made a contact with someone?
Huge administrative burden.
With FT2, I mean, I'd be making a form fill out every 7 to 11 seconds there.
You might have to automate it with the software. There might be an automatic.
Well, there are a few of those Cuban stations on FT8 that are on all the bands at all hours. So I imagine old CO8LY will be down there on FT2 in short order.
Yeah, we'd have to talk to Sebastian about some sort of plug-in to create a form and submit it.
Oh, he can do it.
Thankfully, it appears that this is going to work out for us here, and so I'm happy to see things. Yep. So I'm happy to give the ARL a win on this one.
Second clap of the day. Go ARL. That was kudos.
Give them some respect for catching this one early, making sure that it didn't end up in a worse situation. So guys, somehow we've talked for an hour, and I always enjoy you guys, but any longer than that, I might be tired. So I'm kidding.
Well, if you've made it the hour, thanks for listening. And again,
that's right.
Make sure you hit subscribe, whether you're listening to us on YouTube or any of the podcast platforms. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or any of those, take a moment to give us a rating, a review. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know if we're talking about things you like or don't like. I mean, we don't want a whole lot of negative feedback, but if there's something we can do better, we should. We will.
Constructive criticism.
Constructive criticism. This one guy, just talks about all the things he hates on the air all the time. Well, that's true, but
We already know these things.
Yeah, you do. But take a moment to hit the subscribe button, leave a review, get in touch with us if you want to with any contact ideas or content ideas. James just had a light bulb go on over there.
I was going to say, Rory, are you going to drop the new email?
CQ at everydayham.com. Feel free to reach out to us at our fresh email address. Certainly email us or leave a comment down below. Jim is always on the comments within 30 to 50 seconds of each comment. So it's
like to keep you guys involved.
Yeah, it's certainly easy to get in touch with us. Of course, join our Discord community. We have a couple of really regulars. We have what we could probably almost call
the Discord.
We could almost call the morning crowd now. I look forward to everybody. A little bit of coffee chat anywhere between depending who it is, 4:30 and
4:30. Oh God.
Rodney out there in Texas, he's got some early mornings. He gets to work to make the coffee. I think that's nice. But we'll be hearing more from him actually as he nears retirement, and he might come on one of our episodes and talk about his backyard shack build. So I'm looking forward to hearing about that. But certainly reach out to us. We enjoy hearing from you. We enjoy talking to you. If you're in the area, in the Detroit area, and you hear us on the local repeater, feel free to jump in. If you join on the All-Star Network, feel free to give us a shout. Definitely enjoy hearing from folks.
And James, I think even the podcast listeners have a way to connect now. If I'm not mistaken, they can send a text. If I'm correct, is that a new mechanism?
Our Buzzsprout app, which is our hosting service, does have a let us know how we're doing or send us feedback as well. So just search Everyday Ham at Buzzsprout, and you'll see a way to connect through there as well.
Yeah, it's neat to see all the different methods. We've gotten some really encouraging email saying that people like what they're doing. We've heard some really fun buzz of people saying that they have listened from all around the states now, and that's awesome. If you have a great idea for a show, we'd love to hear it too. Throw it in that CQ at everydayhampodcast.com email address. We'd love to get that. If you have something that you're interested in having us take a look at, you can certainly pose that to us as well. I will encourage you to share that. We do kind of still act pretty selective on that front, so don't feel bad. We'll give you a reply, but we only have so much time in our day, and each of us is still fully employed, thankfully, so 40 plus hours a week. So this is a hobby for us, but we do love spending a time looking at new and fun technology products and otherwise, so we're certainly open to that. You could drop us a line there at CQ at Everyday Ham. This has been the 15th episode of the Everyday Ham podcast. Thank you both for joining us. 73, guys, and we'll catch you next time.
7-3.
73s.
Good luck in the contest.
That's it for today's Everyday Ham. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep enjoying the hobby.